my favorite sport. I like the way they dribble up and down the court, just like I'm the king.
The journey to March Madness has begun, and there are 4 teams that are locked. The Pistons, who are still perfect, are locked. The Lakers are locked. The Kings are locked. The Sonics are locked. I'm your host, the Dudster, Nesta Dudley, along with old friend of the show, Gary Christenson, City Councilor Ward 1.
Gary, who's locked into the league as well. Good to be back.
Good to have you back. And Gary came down to the games this past weekend, as he customarily does. And this year, Gary, I was so late in sending out my email to contact you, I didn't even send it out. You got the cell number. Did you call Bug Tussle, Tennessee? Did you call Granny and get my cell number?
I don't know, but whatever music you have while I'm waiting for you to pick up, best cell music I've ever heard. What song is that?
It's Cameo Jukebox. So I have 8 different Cameo songs in there, so I do not know which particular song you heard. But every time somebody calls, the jukebox refreshes, and unless I program your number for a particular song, you could be listening to one of 8 songs.
Well, that's good to know, because I didn't hear Word Up, so I'll keep calling.
Well, you're not going to hear Word Up. That's the one Cameo song I don't like.
That's my favorite one, Nesta.
All right,
that might be why I don't like it. Guaranteed not to hear that one. You'll hear Alligator Woman, but no, you won't even hear Alligator Woman because it wasn't available. But you'll hear Candy. So, Gary, the first game that you had the opportunity to view and to commentate with our Emerson commentators this year.
Excellent.
Both Ian Tasso and Alex Tam, okay, because we have 4 and I was just blocking on the names for a second. But you got to watch the Celtics play the Pistons.
Yes.
So you got to view the team that's perfect.
Yeah, but what I'm very distressed about to learn is that the council president, Craig Spatafor, was all over me tonight telling me that he is sponsoring the Pistons.
He's sponsoring the Pistons?
How did that happen? Where is Christensen? He doesn't even commentate.
I don't know how that happened. We're going to have to talk to the commissioner, Ken Bazazan, about that, because you're right, he doesn't even commentate.
Right.
Who is he to just come in here and be having, his name is on the jersey of a team that right now has made history. They're 13-0. No team has ever been 13-0. 14-game regular season.
Right, but I could tell why they are. That duo of Washington and Charles, they were just, I thought, unbelievable. Very good tandem. Anything that was put up, they were really taking it back down and putting it back in for a layup. Very impressed with them. But, on the flip side, the Celtics, who did win it with my name a couple years ago.
Yes.
Joe Canine, heart and soul. He was great. I thought the thing that really impressed me, as it always does with the league, is even though he had fouled out, stuck right with the team on the sideline, cheering them on.
Yes.
Staying with them in the huddle, and it's just evidence again of what a great league it has been over the years.
I have to tell you, and thank you for that compliment, I thank you on behalf of the league. With Joe Canine fouling out, it's so interesting that you brought that up, because Joe Young, the assistant coach of the Celtics, was coaching that team. The Magic Man, Evans Revere, who's the head coach, thought that the game was the second game instead of the first game. And I have to tell you, Gary, back in 2007, when his Celtics were the best team in the land, he certainly didn't make mistakes like that. So I don't know if this mistake was done intentional or unintentional. But when he entered the house, Joe Canine had 3 fouls. And when he got that 3rd foul, I was sitting behind the Celtics bench, and I was questioning how come Joe Young didn't take him out. And then Canine ended up getting his 4th foul. And I told the Magic Man, I said, Joe Canine has like 4 fouls, and he's still in there. Magic didn't even know. So Magic's telling Joe, 4 fouls, you should take him out. And he didn't take him out. Joe Canine ended up taking himself out because he fouled out.
Yeah, and once he did, that was the end of any kind of upset in the gymnasium that day. But I thought the Celtics played hard. And when the announcers took the mics, we thought that the Pistons might run away with it, but clearly was not the case the first 3 quarters. But once the Celtics lost Joe Canine, it was all over after that.
You go down the Celtics roster, Michael Abramo, Natson Jackson, Chris Munyon, who's another weapon for the Celtics, Joe Canine, Brian Young, Jacob Batista, Young Hua, who wasn't there, and a couple other players who are not there anymore. I mean, the Celtics, they do not have the numbers in terms of men on the roster. They're only carrying like about 7 or 8 players. But the Celtics, Gary, you do not want to get in a track meet with these guys. And even though the Celtics have only won 3 games, they certainly don't play like a team that has only won 3 games.
No, they did not. The heart and soul was there, and we were impressed. I think the fans in the stands were impressed. as you could tell by the hollering throughout the game. And, again, they just couldn't get it done in the fourth quarter, but certainly not without effort.
Mm-hmm. And we talk about this Pistons team, and you said that you were impressed with their front court game, the down low men of Washington and Charles. But they have three-point weapons. They have Bell and Daniel, who was playing. Danny Biteau did not play. He's nursing a knee injury. Those guys are cousins. They're leading the league in threes. And then they added Ricky Douglas. And so that team, we said all along, that team lives and dies by the 3 points. And for 13 games, they've been living by three-pointers.
Yep. And that's great, because when you have those two down below, Charles and Washington, it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
Because they were, I've been following the league for a while, and I thought they were quite impressive as any other players I've seen over the years.
Mm-hmm.
They really were able to block out and really take control of the boards.
Yeah, that Pistons squad, they certainly play as a team, and it certainly shows in the standings. Because as I said, the Pistons right now have set history. They're the only team right now that have gone 13-0. But Gary, you hear this music, and I know you were concerned.
Like I don't like it.
I know you were concerned about being in the MNBL web. You said you were on the web last season, and yes, you were. You're on the web this season and possibly next season as well. Gary Christenson, you are caught up in the MNBL web, what this segment is that I have up until 3 minutes to ask my guest, in this case, Gary Christenson, City Councilor Ward 1, anything that I would like to ask, and it may or may not have to do with the Malden Neighborhood Basketball League. So Gary, my question to you is that I watch Malden Access Television, okay? Now there's a certain cooking program by the name of Neighborhood Dish, hosted by two ladies that I like to call the Neighborhood Dish Divas, Paula Spizzeri and Karen Yates.
Yep.
And I see an episode where they went into your bachelor pad, which I have to believe is kind of shop unless you hired cleaning people for that day. I don't know. Your crib is spotless, and they taught you how to cook.
Oh, they tried to teach me.
They tried to teach you how to cook. What was that experience?
It was something I'll never forget, but just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, I thought the boss might have been responsible for me being involved in the spider web, so that's a good thing. But yeah, the cooking show was, I thought it was going to be a simple, here's how you make a dish, but, little did I know they're, showing me how to watch for things that expire in my fridge and how to turn on certain things, and it was really an eye-opening experience, but I really haven't learned my lesson because 6 months later, there my mother is up in the kitchen finding things from 2005. So I might have to have Paula and Karen back in the kitchen. But
I have to tell you, being an advocate of Malden Access Television, watching, when I'm not watching repeats of Around the Rim, and when I'm not watching a Wrestling Center, I'm watching other shows. And another show that I'm watching is Giving Back. And I saw the Giving Back episode, Gary Sharon, his show Giving Back, also on the Neighborhood Dish, and I saw him call you out. He said, Gary Christenson, I call you out for a cook-off. And I saw last week's Giving Back show, and you and Mike did pull a wool over the Dish Divas, but I don't know. I'm thinking there's some animosity. I mean, will Malden see Gary Christenson and Mike Sharon have a cook-off? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that I'm really happy about the outcome is when he was trashing me, it was great to see Paula and Karen came right to my defense. So I still might have a future in me here in the city. But that has been discussed, a possible cook-off. They're actually talking about having it as a match, either at one of the wrestling shows or the boxing shows coming up.
Well, you know what? We're all here in this family called the Malden Neighborhood Basketball League, and also called the Malden Access Television. If you're going to have a cooking match, what better show to have this cooking match on than Wrestling Center? I'm sure we could talk to Quest, and he can hook this up.
Yeah, they're talking about the apron and the whole kit and caboodle, so we'll see what becomes of it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just glad, I'm just glad I've been able to, learn how to make my own dish, and the only problem is I have to have them back because I've made the dish over 100 times now.
Esther, I'd be a little worried about that. It could turn into a food fight.
Well, again, Wrestling Center would be the show to host that. So, but Gary Christenson, you are officially out of the web. Oh. So, you're concerned over nothing. We always take care of you up here,
and
Gary.
thank you, Sheriff DePaulo.
Back in the studios of Around the Rim, I am your host, the Deadster, Nestor Dudley, along with Gary Christenson, City Councilor Ward 1. Now, Gary, the second game, you were not able to be in the house to watch the second game because, being the nice son you are, you had other family obligations. But I did make, and I don't even know if I should say this on live television, I did make 2 copies of games for you to view. But remember, everybody out there who's watching, getting copies from Nestor Dudley, the policy still applies, which means you don't get no copies. But I had to make copies for you so we could talk about the games. And that second game was the Hawks and Sixers, correct?
Yes, it was. And 2 teams that I think were near the bottom of the standings, or are at the bottom of the standings.
The Hawks and Sixers, Gary, this is the rematch from the championship game last year when the Sixers took the title.
Right, and you can see the difference in what a year makes. Both teams were struggling early on. I was laughing at the commentating by Ian and Alex when they named Scott Jules as Mini LeBron.
Yeah, what's that about?
He made some nice shots, and they thought he had some ability enough to be called Mini LeBron. I don't know if it's going to stick around the league, but they certainly think Scott Jules is a capable player.
Waldo's saying, nah, I don't know.
And then the other guy that I was trying to get an angle on was Dickie Solis. Huge guy.
First-year sophomore.
Yeah.
That means, Gary, he's still growing.
Yeah, oh yeah. But what was odd, though, there were people smaller than him that were pushing him out of the way down below, so I couldn't quite understand that. But, he had some presence, and it was evident when I was watching the game. And then I thought the other guy from the Hawks, I think, was David Consul. I think
Dave Consul, yes.
He really had a nice game as well. But, the first couple of halves, I think the best thing that came out of it that I took was the Sammy Jean picking up the one-on-one and then deciding to go in, even though it wasn't his ball, and knocking over the ref in proceeding to do that. So, but then the game seemed to pick up in the third and fourth quarter. It became very competitive. The Sixers had taken a pretty sizable lead. But then before you know it, the Hawks made a furious comeback and took the win. So what looked like was going to be a very slow game in the first half turned out to be quite an exciting game in the second half.
And it ended up being an exciting game. And speaking about exciting games, the third game, which was the Kings and the Sonics, and what was exciting about this game, Gary, is that this game was for third place. So the winner gets third place. They faced the Lakers in the first round. The losers, boy, did they lose, because they faced the Pistons in the first round, a team that's still unblemished.
Yep, and I was very impressed. I know the teams were evenly matched, but I thought the Kings, not just because Coach Higgins is in the hall, but I really thought.
And I don't know why people let him in every week. He ain't getting on the show.
Yeah, but that trade of I think it was McMillan and
Dimitri Lodemus.
Yeah, you could see how that has paid off for the team. McMillan was really everywhere in terms of bringing the ball up and a lot of nice defensive stops. And then Lamaitis was down below. I think he had a couple of nice swats. And then on the other side, the other team, sticking with the Kings, was Ross.
Yes,
he had
Ross. Yes.
Made quite an impression. And in the fourth quarter, I thought he helped, seal the win. But on the Sonics, the player that really impressed me was O'Brien.
Mike O'Brien. He did all his work in the paint.
He really did, and he kept them in it. A lot of heart, a lot of pride, and toward the other game, I thought he was, really the key for keeping them close. But in the end, the Kings were just too much.
One of the weapons, and some might say the main weapon of the Sonics, Siddiqui Bakaba, was in foul trouble the entire game, and he went the entire game with a goose egg. He didn't score 1 point. And, you are not going to beat a Kings team when one of your weapons do not produce any points. When one of your weapons is sitting on the bench, you're not going to take out this Kings team.
Right, and I thought I could see this Kings, if it does come to it, I think the Kings could give the Pistons a run. Now, I think the Pistons had a couple players missing that game that I saw on Saturday. Yeah,
the Pistons had Danny Bito, who was sitting on the bench nursing a knee injury, and Ricky Douglas. So
he's a pretty high scorer, right, Douglas?
Yes, Douglas is leading the league in scoring.
Right.
3-year senior, Douglas. And, the Pistons have a strong 5, and you only seen 3 of the 5.
Yeah, that's true. But based on what I saw, I thought the Kings had enough that they might be able to match up potentially with the Pistons.
The Kings, of course, have to get by the Lakers in the first round.
Of course, that's implied.
And for which they are completely convinced that they can do that, because that's why they really won the third slot. They didn't want to face the Pistons in the first round.
Right.
But then again, who wants to face the Pistons in the first round? I'm sure the Lakers don't want to face the Pistons in the first round either.
Right.
Nor the Sonics.
Right.
But somebody got to face the Pistons in the first round. Sonics drew the short straw.
Yeah, but they were all, all three games were very competitive, which has become commonplace with this league. And again, I look for all the little things. It was great to see players that have been fouled helping each other up, and then everybody shaking hands after the game. And then, like I said about Joe Canine sticking around even though he fouled out. He could have left the gym, but stuck there with his teammates. So, credit to you and the entire league.
Yeah, thank you. And right now I'm hearing that music, so go ref go, R.A. Waldo's time to go into the roll-ins. So when you're ready, let's go into the roll-ins. Okay, first game, it's the Lakers and the Sonics, and Jimmy Nguyen with all three ODs. Bailey, coast to coast, he left Malibu. He ended up in Malden. Touchdown, Zoo, cleaning it up. Hurley finds 40-air.
Good defense right there. 40-air again.
40-air, cleaning it up.
And 40-air again.
And Bailey strokes it deep, and I don't think it's reboundable. Lakers over the defending neighborhood league champs, 61-35. Jimmy Nguyen led the scoring for the Sixers with 15 points. Sean Fortier led all scores with 19 points. The Lakers improved to 7-4. Sixers drop. Next game, Celtics King. Batista strong to the hole. Lodemus cleans it up. Lodemus with the lay-in. Canine tells Francois, get that stank out of here. And DiGiovanni with the interception, and Lodemus with the touchdown. Joe Canine, Hoopenham, Kings over the Celtics 61-46. Canine Hyman for the Celtics 13 points. D-Lo led all scores with 22 points as the Kings improved to 5-5. Celtics dropped to 3-8. Next game, Pistons Sonics. Daniel on the giddy up. O'Brien in the Crayola. Daniel, good pass to Washington. Jace Kyle with the fadeaway. Daniel, sucking in the defense. Pistons remain perfect, 57-52. O'Brien, Hyman, Sonics with 21 points. Bellandang led all scores with 31 points. The Pistons remain perfect at 11-0. The Sonics dropped to 6-5. First game Sunday. Kings, Bullets 51-45. Provatola, Hyman with the Bullets 14 points. Taquan Ross with the match 14 points. Kings improve over 500 ball. Next game, Pistons Sixers 59-50. Blake Coughlin from the Sixers led all scores with 22 points as the Pistons remain perfect 12-0. Third game, Lakers Hawks 34-24. White led all scores with 11 points as the Lakers improved to 8-4. The Hawks dropped to 3-8. This past weekend, we're doubling up on the roll-ins because we did not have a show last week, unfortunately. First game, Celtics Pistons 54-48. Charles Washington led the Pistons with 20 points. Munyon led all scores with 23 points as the Pistons, perfect, 13-0. Next game, Hawks Sixers 50-47. Coughlin led the Sixers with 11 points. Console led all scores with 16 points as the Hawks improved to 4-8. Third game, Sonics Kings. Lodemus finds the J-Man. O'Brien and one. Lodemus with the cleanup. McMillan recovers the fumble and takes it to the house. Kings making it look too easy. Jace Kyles going coast to coast. He left Nahant Beach. He ended up at Blacks Beach. Touchdown. D-Lo bails out Johnny Mack. O'Brien with the bump into. Hopkins, little jumper. Hagos to Lodemus, back to Hagos, back to Lodemus, working it. After recess, Hagos moving without the ball. McMillan, lefty's groove. Gene Borgella with the hoop in the ham. Taquan Ross, nice jumper. Ross schooling the Forest. Hopkins, tough turnaround. Francois to the rack. Kings looking up court. Hagos rejecting Kaba. D'Lo shooting uglies. O'Brien in the Crayola. D'Lo doing work. O'Brien tells McMillan, get that crap out of here. O'Brien over a pair of Kings. But those said Kings, victorious, getting the third place slot. Score 45-41. McMillan high score for the Kings, 15 points. O'Brien led all scores with 19 points. The Kings improved to 75. Sonics dropped to 6-6. Next game, Hawks, Sonics. Sonics 45, Hawks 44. White led all scores with 17 points. Sonics improved to 7-6. Kings, Sixers. Kings victorious. Hagos led all scores with 14 points as the Kings improved to 8-5. The Sixers dropped to 2-11. And the final game of the weekend, Bullets, Lakers. The Lakers swept the Bullets this year. That doesn't often happen. Jerome Dean led all scores with 31 points as the Lakers improved to 9-1 and the Bullets dropped down to 5-4 out of madness contention. Now it's on for the weekly Around the Rim Awards. So let's get it! Player of the week this past week, Jerome Dean of those Bullets, 31 points, doing what he can do to keep the Bullets in that game. Unfortunately, they lost to the Lakers. Coach of the week goes to Bernardo Stroud of the Hawks. His Hawks won a game. They have 4 wins. They jumped from, in the past week, they jumped from butt naked last to in the 6th slot. Team of the week, the Kings. The Kings handled their business, got their 3rd slot. They cannot go any higher only because the regular season is over. And woo of the week going to James V. DePaula. Sheriff James V. DePaula. How could we have a show, Gary, with you up here without mentioning Sheriff DePaula? So Sheriff DePaula being a faithful watcher of Around the Rim. And Gary, I swear, if I'm lying, I'm flying. Ain't seen a bird all day. I did not talk to the sheriff today. So he earned this woo honestly. And I'm not going to let you do it because we know how he feels about your woo. This woo is for you. Woo! And now on to the stats. Remember, if it doesn't look like this, it just ain't official. The history-making Pistons 13-0, followed by the Lakers 9-4, Kings 8-5, Sonics 7-6. If the madness was to start this weekend, those are the 4, and those would be the seeds. 1 facing 4, 2 facing 3. Bullets just outside of madness contention, followed by the Hawks, the Celtics, and the defending Neighborhood League champs Sixers in butt naked last. Go, Ref, go. Your favorite category.
The Dirty Dozen.
Dirty Dozen.
Hey, I got to ask you, real quick, one of my other favorite categories is the Hothead list. Is it true that Coach Beanie Amos is on the Hothead list? He got another technical this past weekend?
Coach Beanie Amos has 3 technicals. 2 of them were for being on the court. So only 1 for blowing up, 2 for being on the court. So
no matter, he's still on the Hothead list on the website, mnbl19.tripod.com.
Yes, he's on the Hothead list. Those 2 technicals are not Hothead receivables or whatever. But yes, he's on the list. But anyway, this is the Dirty Dozen. Can I talk about the Dirty Dozen now? Go, F, go.
Go on ahead. It's my other favorite category.
Okay, but if you go to the mnbl19.tripod.com and you go to the stats and you go to other leaders, you will see that it doesn't say Beanie Amos as his head coach, who was right under Taquan Ross, I believe, who has 3 technicals. But in any case, Dirty Dozen, and that was actually pretty good for memorizing a website. Billy Hurley, still the Dirty Dozen of them all, followed by Canine, White, Washington, Samano, Caba, Dean, Console, Jean, Jackson, Provatola, and Lodomus. Games this weekend. The regular season ends this Saturday. First game, Lakers-Celtics. The second game, Pistons-Bullets. And this is for a perfect regular season, that second game. Sunday's games is the snow makeup from January 17th. We have Kings versus Hawks. First game, Bullets versus Celtics, Sonics versus Sixers. And you're asking, why do these games matter? These games absolutely do matter because for some reason, if the Hawks beat the Kings and the Sonics beat the Sixers, that means that the Sonics and the Kings have the same record and they would have to face each other Tuesday night at Malden High for the third slot. So that's why these games are important. All games are important in the Malden Neighborhood Basketball League. Please come down and join us. March. Women History. We're going to have our Women History March Women History moment. Dropping the knowledge. Laura Keene, 1826 to 1873. In 1855, King became the first woman to manage her own theatrical company. Her production of Our American Cousin was playing at Ford's Theater the night Lincoln was assassinated. King's dress cuff, stained with Lincoln's blood as she cradled his head, is in the Smithsonian Museum. Around the Rim, when you can watch them, that's when you can watch them. I see that our time's winding down, so we're just going to blow by these screens. When to watch them on the educational channels Monday through Wednesday, and the game of the week is every Friday. And the game of the week this week is going to be Sonics Pistons from February 21st. Where to read them? Every week in the Malden Evening News. And if you're too cheap to spend the 50 cent, that's right, Gary, I did say 50 cent, you can read about it at the official website of the league, mmbl19.tripod.com, where you can go to that said page and see how Beanie Amos is on top of the hotheads list. Or you can go to the official online home of this show, Around the Rim, at atrlive.com. Dine with the Malden Neighborhood Basketball League this Monday coming up March 9th at the Dockside on Center Street, Malden. Split the pot drawing and raffle prizes, including raffles for 2 Boston Celtics versus Charlotte Bobcat tickets on April 1st, the Fool's Day. Seats are 5 rows behind the Celtics bench. These tickets are valued at $320. Texas Hold'em, we're running another one. Last Thursday was successful. Hopefully this Thursday in a couple of weeks will be equally as successful. March 19th at the Silver Fox in Everett. The doors open at 6. Big game begins at 8. Save the date, April 4th. Joe DeVito, comedic hypnotist, coming to the Jacobs Auditorium in Malden. Doors open at 7. Show begins at 8. For tickets, call 781-321-4420 or email Ken Mazonson, ESQ@AOL.com. Gary, what I forgot to mention at the start of this show is that you were the first guest to witness the new Roland made by Go Ref Go. But I see the credits rolling on our face. We're going to have to get it out of here. So thank you, Gary, for becoming a guest on this show again.
Absolutely.
And until next week, I just want to say buenas noches, hooches, cooches. I came in peace. I leave with love. This is for the red, the black, and the green. And I'll be seeing you at the games.